Welcome to In the Black, where we celebrate stories of transformation, resilience, and rising into the life you were meant to live. I'm your host, Araceli, and this space was created to amplify voices often overlooked. Women who've come through the fire with wisdom, strength, and heart. Whether you're here for healing, clarity, or just good conversation, you belong here. Let's get into it. Welcome back to In the Black podcast. Today's guest is the incredible Bracha Goetz, a Harvard-educated wellness expert and author of 43 children's books and a deeply moving memoir that reveals her own victorious journey through food addiction. Bracha's story is one of transformation from emptiness and addiction to purpose, spirituality, and joy. She's here to offer real-life tools and actionable steps that helped her fill her internal void in lasting, meaningful ways, and how you can do it too. Whether you're struggling in silence or just looking for that next level of peace and purpose, this episode is a reminder you can heal, you can thrive, you can be in the black, emotionally, spiritually, and financially. Let's dive in. Welcome, Bracha. It's so good to have you on my podcast.
Thank you so much. That was beautiful. I love that. It was a beautiful introduction. Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you. I know I introduced you, but would you like to go ahead and give us a little sneak peek about where you are today?
Yeah. Okay. Well, right now I'm the author of 45 children's books, and I basically I my goal has been to write the books that I wished I had as a child. Um, they're not just like any ordinary picture book for children. They really help children gain happiness skills early in life as possible. That's been my goal, and the same with the presentations that I give. I'm trying to share with everybody how to gain happiness skills like I was able to gain in life, and I'm just loving sharing that.
Awesome. So after your application, did you write two more books on top of the 43 that you had?
Two more books were published. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
yeah.
Do they just come fluidly to you, or is it you do find inspiration randomly, or how does that come about?
Ah, so my first 40 books were published by different publishers, and with when I wrote my 40th book, my children actually said to me, "Don't send out this manuscript. We want to become your publishers now." So my children, my youngest son and his wife started their own publishing company, and they are now publishing my books. So it's a whole family enterprise. Really, everybody's involved in the family. So they just want to keep spreading these messages, and that's what we're doing together. How I get the ideas for writing books, if I feel there's a need that hasn't yet been met, then I'm driven to write that book. That's really how it goes. One Here's an example. My granddaughter, one a granddaughter was about now it was about 2 years ago. She said to me, we were hanging out together, and she asked her mother for candy, and her mother said no, and she turns to me and she says, "When I'm a mother, I'm going to always say yes." So I thought that was so funny, and so I right away, like, it came to me that that should be a book, The Mother Who Always Said Yes. What would it be like if that fantasy came true? And it's a really unique book because I don't say in the book any place that there's a problem with a mother always saying yes, but you see it in the pictures. You see that the family becomes more and more dysfunctional as the book goes on. You know, they can get anything they want. They could do anything they want. They could stay out all night. They could fight with each other. Everything is yes, yes, yes. What would it be like if we had no limits? And children this book is very popular since it came out. People are children recognize from reading the book because it doesn't tell them anything. They just see it in the pictures and they start to realize, like, they realize on their own, they integrate it that, yeah, we need limits and it's not great to just get anything you want? So that's one example of how I was inspired to write the book just from like these words that a granddaughter said to me like that.
That is awesome. I love that. That is so funny and educational, because kids know it's like, oh, that's the importance of having structure. Like
Yes.
that is why there is a no. That is so so cool. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you. And yeah,
Um,
yeah, they get to see it with their own eyes. They get to see their fantasy play out. That's what I wanted to do? Yeah.
I love that. That's so good. Let's see. So you've written well over 40 books, including a memoir. Can you take us back to the moment you realized you needed to change your relationship with food? So that brings you back to your food journey that you went through.
Yeah. Okay, so that's yeah, this book is my memoir. It's the only book I wrote for adults because I didn't exactly write it. I compiled it. It's kind of a documentary from I took out highlights from my diaries, which I called journals when I got older, and letters that I wrote home, and I filled in the missing pieces. So it's called Nourish the Soul, Filling the Emptiness Within. That's the story of what happened. It began the emptiness. I began to feel the emptiness at age 12. So, you know, it's like the body changed, the hormones changed, and I got like a consciousness expansion. Like I became aware of things I wasn't aware of before, and I started wondering about deep things like what's the purpose of life? This it it it, it kept all the time. I kept not all the time, but I kept returning to that question and wondering what we were doing here. I really wanted to know. So the search began from that point on. That's when the book starts at age 12, when I started my diary at age 12. And I had actually just finished reading The Diary of Anne Frank. That's what motivated me to start a diary. So, and that book also got me thinking about what's the purpose of life. So I searched in so many places. I searched in a number of different religions, trying on different things, environmentalism, social action, experimenting with all kinds of things, relationships. At one point, I started doing well in school. Because of this search, I was searching for like ultimate wisdom, and because I did so well in school, like I was able to get into Harvard, and to me that was like, this is going to be the ultimate place with wisdom. I was so excited about going there, and the search kept going. But as the search kept going, I was actually getting sicker and sicker, um, and you couldn't tell from the outside how I was having like really eating disordered behavior, um, because it was mostly that I would have these uncontrollable binges, and then after the binges, I would have I would have really restricted dieting. So I'd try to make up for that, and it took over my life. It Things got worse and worse. When I graduated from Harvard, I went to medical school. And you should know, like at Harvard, what was I studying? And I was actually doing research in eating disordered behavior. I was becoming like an expert on that. And meanwhile, I'm getting sicker and sicker. That's, kind of typical. And then I went to medical school hoping to become a psychiatrist. That was my goal. By the time I was in medical school, my behaviors had become so bizarre, which I document in the book, And that's how it is for people with addictions. Their behaviors get more and more bizarre, and they're secret. Nobody knows what's going on. Um, and you put so much energy into keeping it a secret, a ton of energy into that, and it becomes like a prison. And as you get more and more into your addiction, the walls get narrower in the prison. It takes over all your energy, your thinking, your emotions, everything. That's the prison that I created. And the summer after my first year of medical school, I had 6 week break and I went to Israel, and I ended up really learning about filling myself with the spirituality that I had been looking for forever. No, for a long time. So I guess it was for 10 years. I was 22 then. So when I found that was nourishing my soul, I didn't want to return to medical school. I did a complete detour in my life, and I ended up staying there. First, I took a year's leave of absence, but I just didn't come back. And I really immersed myself in a world of spirituality, which changed my life. And what I really what the essence of what I learned and what I'm sharing now with everybody is I learned about the purpose of life that I was searching for. And what I was taught was that the purpose of life is to experience the greatest pleasure possible. That sounds like hedonistic, but the greatest pleasure possible is spiritual pleasure. That hole inside of us, it's not a physical hole. And we try desperately to fill it with physical things. That just makes the hole get deeper. That's why after finishing the whole container of ice cream, I'd feel even emptier than before. But it's a spiritual hole, and I learned that the what fills it and what gives us the greatest pleasure in life is gratitude. So that's how my life changed. And basically in raising my children and now in helping to raise other children in this world through my books, I'm teaching about gratitude and how to fill your life with gratitude, because that genuinely fills every hungry soul.
I love that. Wow. Could you take us in a little bit deeper into that journey? So, your trip to Israel, what that was like?
Yes, well, I just began learning from like amazing, amazing people. And they had such great, they were taking ancient spiritual wisdom and making it relevant for today. So, one of the greatest teachings I learned is about the pleasure ladder. On my website is what I'm going to explain now is about it explains about the five levels of pleasure, which are it corresponds to our five fingers. We have within our hands the ability to bring pleasure into our lives at any moment. We have that power. This reminds us of these five levels, and it also corresponds to the five levels of the human soul. The lowest level of the soul is the part that's attached to our body. So, this level of the soul is nourished by all the natural sensual pleasures in this world, like all the natural foods that exist, all the healthy foods we're given, spending time in nature, exercise, dancing, gardening, walking, music. When we experience these natural pleasures with gratitude, that's what elevates us. That's what changes. That's what nourishes us and gives us connection. When we're in like a state of addiction, we're self centered, we feel disconnected from the world, estranged, alienated, lonely, bored, anxious, depressed, any of these things, we feel cut off. In order to reconnect, what brings us connection? Gratitude is that bridge. So, like an orange, I love this example. When we eat the fruit, On the trees, in the beginning, it's all green and it's camouflaged in with the leaves in order to protect it. The fruit is being protected until it's ready for us to eat. And when it's ready, it becomes the most pleasurable, most beautiful color. It's most vivid. And it's calling, we're ready. This is how it calls to us. And it smells beautiful. And then when we pluck it off the tree, it it has it's individually wrapped, and we take off this amazing wrapper which helps to fertilize the soil, and then the sweet juiciness is kept in for months for us. And then when we finish eating it, we're left with the seeds. And the seeds amazingly become more trees and infinite more oranges. So this little orange is just one tiny gift, because when we are overeating or engaged in any other addiction, we feel a sense of scarcity. The reason why we overeat is because we want the pleasure to keep lasting. We experience a pleasure and we want, so we'll just keep eating. We'll just finish the whole box of chocolate chip cookies or the whole bag of potato chips because we want the pleasure to keep lasting. If we don't, it's rare to like eat a whole bag of oranges because it fills us in a different way. And if we experience gratitude, that really fills us, and we don't have to keep stuffing our faces because it's gratitude. That gratitude fills us in in the way that we're really craving lasting pleasure. Gratitude brings that. So that's the lowest level of pleasure.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
So you learned that in Israel and you brought that back with you.
this is ancient wisdom. It's ancient wisdom that was taught in a way that struck a chord immediately with me, that I could resonate with and incorporate into my life. And it also answered my questions. What are we here for? We are here to experience this world in gratitude. That changes everything. Then it's like there's a good purpose to everything. The world had felt scary before. There was no purpose. Everything happens randomly. Now things were starting to make sense. There's a good ultimate purpose for everything we go through, and we are ultimately good. So it changes the entire perspective when I understand that we are here as a kindness to experience pleasure. That's the whole purpose for our being here.
Did you have any fears going to Israel and then making that decision to stay and stay longer than intended? And how did your parents handle that news?
Great question. My parents freaked out. They thought I joined a cult. Meanwhile, my own religion. I just hadn't learned about it in this deep spiritual way. I was always Jewish. I was culturally Jewish, and I didn't know about like the deep treasures. That's what I was never taught. And it wasn't my parents' fault. They didn't learn it either. I mean, it had gotten lost through generations, but thank God. The strange thing is that it was not a hard decision for me. It was hard to talk to my parents about it. There were a lot of tears, like, what do you mean you're just not coming back? They were terrified. What was I doing? But it was so clear to me. Even though my life looked so great on the outside, I was suffering so much. Nobody understood how I was suffering. There was no reason. It wasn't like I went through some terrible trauma in my life that was creating this suffering. No, it was just that I didn't have the nourishment for my soul that I was craving. And that can be traumatic alone. That sounds funny, but it's true. I believe that people with addictions, usually the most sensitive souls, their souls are exposed. So they feel the emptiness. Everybody has this. We are born with this emptiness. We're born with a genuine hunger because we are meant to nourish it and fill it with gratitude and make that connection and understand that we're really being loved up all day long. We don't recognize that, but when we open our eyes and learn about it, then the world changed. Like for me, it changed from gray to a world of colors again, where I can appreciate what I have and not take everything for granted.
That is beautiful. Well,
Thank
thank you
you.
so much for sharing. So, take us through that journey of your rebuilding, your change in mindset, rebuilding your life with joy instead of self-destructive habits.
Yes, exactly. How did I rebuild my life with joy? It's training the brain to scan for positive patterns. That doesn't mean pushing down pain and not recognizing it. There's this wonderful therapist called Tara Brach, and she talks about it's an acronym RAIN. When you're experiencing pain, recognize it, acknowledge it, allow it, accept it, investigate it. Why am I feeling pain right now? What just happened that's making me miserable? And then nourish it, nurture. Nurture yourself, nourish yourself. So that's the part that I'm focused on. How and recognize the pain that you're in. Don't stuff it away. No, don't stuff down your feelings. Once you've faced, oh, now I'm not feeling happy right now. I wonder why. You investigate that. Like one of my books, where is that book? It's called Don't Read This Book. It teaches children early in life that we all have an inner critic. And this inner critic in our brain is telling us all day long to be miserable. It's telling us you're missing this, you're lacking this. If you only had that, you'd be happy. It's getting us to focus on what we don't have. That's its job. So if we recognize that and we suddenly, I'm feeling miserable, what just happened? You think of what that is, you allow that feeling, you explore it a little, you investigate it, and then you say, oh, I get it. It's that voice. It's trying to make me miserable. So, this book took me 30 years to write because I didn't have all the wisdom that I needed to come up with the end for this book, which is really a surprise. The ending is this: that voice inside our heads, and we all have it, and it speaks differently to all of us because it knows what each person's weakness is. It's like a personal trainer. And so the personal trainer, it's like you have these weights, you have a dumbbell that you have to lift. And when you lift it, you grow your muscles. It's the same way with our gratitude muscles. When we recognize that there's this weight we're carrying around, it's pulling us down, we recognize it and we push it off. That's how we grow our gratitude muscles. So recognize what's bothering you right now. Okay, I'm going to allow that feeling, I'm going to investigate it. And now that I recognize that power that's trying to push me down, I push it off and I can refocus on all that I already have. Then I refocus. I'm not focused on what I don't have. I'm focused on the abundance of blessings I already have in my life. The reason why we feel lonely or miserable or get into an addiction is from a sense of scarcity of pleasure in our life. In order to recognize the abundance, we have to refocus, train the brain to scan for positive patterns, and recognize there's so much I already have in my life right now, right this moment, that I can feel grateful for. That's how I retrain my brain. That's really so that, and when you do this, when you first do it, it's like when you drive on a car, you drive in a car on a road that has never been traveled on. It's very gravelly, it's hard, it's weird to steer. But once you've put those grooves in the road, it gets easier and easier. That's what we're doing. We're creating pathways, neural pathways in our brain. The more we practice gratitude, the easier it becomes until our brains turn into brains of gratitude. It absolutely is transformative. Um, Practicing gratitude.
So well said. So well painted, the whole picture.
Oh, thank you.
So, can you recall your first actionable step you took that started a recovery journey?
Um, Well, like in the book, I talk about I'm learning this and then I go out on another binge. Like you can't integrate it immediately. You can hear this deep wisdom, but it doesn't yet go in. It's a process. And I also want to say that people will always relapse. And the best way to deal with relapse is through gratitude, like this. When you say I just ate 20 cookies. And then how could you be grateful? You say, I didn't eat 200 cookies. There's always what to be grateful for, That weight that's trying to come down on you and make you miserable, it'll say, oh, there's no point. It just tries to get you to do more things wrong. I just ate the 20 cookies. Now I might as well just have the whole container of ice cream. Just keeps going like that. And not just with food, but with anything, So how you overcome that? Okay. So I didn't have 1,000 cookies. It's always something that you could be grateful for. That's how you push it away. I'm not going to be miserable. I'm going to be grateful. The minute you do that, you take back your power. In this book, that inner critic is illustrated as a fly. And and really the amazing thing that you learn in the book, you see there's a mask in front of the fly, is that voice in your head, this is incredible. This is what I didn't know for many years. That voice in your head, it really doesn't want you to listen to it. That inner critic is also is there for your benefit, to make you into a stronger person, to help you build your gratitude muscles, because if you didn't have that barbell, you wouldn't be pushing against it, you wouldn't grow your muscles. We need those forces in our lives to become better people. It's actually challenging us to take back our power and and recognize that this world is filled with love. Actually, it was made with love for our benefit. There's a line I have here: pretend that life itself deeply loves you and is working everything out in your favor. That's a complete mindset change. Was a complete mindset change for me, and it is for most people. It completely changes your mind, because I didn't have a sense of trust. The world seemed scary to me. If you begin to trust that this world was just made for our benefit, for us to appreciate, that's all we really have to do, is give back gratitude. It's completely changes everything. Changes your entire perspective.
Absolutely. Yes. A lot of people just feel like they're victims or, like the world is out to get them or people are out to get them in whatever capacity that is. And absolutely remembering that there's love all around and being grateful for all the things, bad or good, that happen for us is meant for us and meant to shape us and build us up as we journey along our own path. Yeah,
Exactly. And I don't want to say like there's no evil in the world. For sure there is. Like, two of my books are about the prevention of abuse, helping children learn about this. Um, this is also to help souls shine, because when children experience abuse, it puts a covering over the soul. I give an example. Here's an example. This is like, we are like a light. We're always shining. This is our soul. It's always shining. But when we go through different trauma or neglect, abuse. We put coverings over our souls to protect ourselves. We have to cope. And then we don't even feel that our soul is shining. We don't even feel it because we put on these protective layers. So, what do we do? How do we feel it again? We may need support, therapeutic support, in order to trust again and help to very carefully and slowly remove those layers of protection. But at the same time, we need to be nourishing our soul so that it gets stronger and it can actually melt away the layers, the external layers from within. We can help to melt away those layers. And then we recognize that we were always still shining, even when we didn't feel it, even when we were covered up by all those layers. We didn't recognize that we were still shining. But the more we nourish our souls, we will we will become aware that we have the most uniquely beautiful souls, every one of us, or we wouldn't be here now. We all have many reasons for being here, and 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 that is to shine that beautiful light in the world. That's unique, a unique hue for each individual. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, for someone listening who feels stuck in shame or secrecy around food addictions, what advice do you have to offer them?
Stuck, that's the word. I always forget to say it's such a great word. That's how you feel, stuck. I felt completely stuck in this tiny prison. And they say like addictions is when it's the only prison where you have the key to get out, but you don't even know it. It's the key where the lock is on the inside. We can get out of it. How do we get out? Little by little. The pleasure ladder I find very helpful. I recommend people to download it from my website, and it's a chart that you could put on your fridge or your cabinet. If you ever feel like overeating, it reminds you of the infinite ways that you can bring pleasure into your life instead. We're stuck on a certain habit. We're stuck on a certain coping mechanism that we use to bring immediate comfort into our lives. What I actually learned back then, what I was taught that summer, is that comfort, not pain, is the opposite of pleasure. Comfort's the opposite of pleasure because that immediate comfort that we get, it stops us from reaching for true pleasure in life. It puts this damper on us. So it numbs us. So we're not really feeling anymore. It covers up the pain, but it stops us from feeling real pleasure. This is how to feel real pleasure in life. To experience, bring back healthy foods into your life, because actually the junk food is designed to be addictive. It's designed for you to overeat, so we're not to blame. Our bodies are just responding to the way it was designed in a laboratory to get us to overeat. The healthy foods are designed to nourish us, build our bodies, make us healthier. It's a totally different entity. So bring in more healthy foods, exercise, um, fill your days with music. All of this just on the lower level of pleasure, when you experience them with gratitude, each moment that you do, you feel more lasting pleasure. You and going up here, it's appreciating other people, um, recognizing what do you appreciate about someone else. That's real love, and we can bring love into our lives without anybody being there. That's the surprising thing. Just by thinking of someone that once did a kindness for you, you fill up with this warm emotional feeling of love, appreciating other people. And then by doing kindnesses, doing good in the world. This is why you always hear like, if you're feeling sad, what could you do? Eat healthfully, exercise, volunteer. But this explains why. Our soul actually needs these things in order to feel fulfilled. This is how we were created to to need these things in our lives to feel nourished. Um, so, and then above that is creativity. When we when we do something creative. We're in like this high zone. And when we do it with gratitude, it's not with ego involved. We're just channeling the wonderful energy in the world. We're just helping it to keep flowing. The highest level is called transcendence. It's recognizing that we're really all one. We're really all connected. We have the same source energy flowing through all of us and through each other. We're never alone. That's the amazing thing. It's the complete opposite of the loneliness we feel when we're in that stuck place. So this is a very simple way to understand that you're never alone and we're always connected, and how to reconnect when you are feeling that illusion of aloneness.
Wow. Well said.
Thank you. Thank you so
Um,
much.
so, so what did your healing journey lead you to your mission of writing books for children and families, or how did that come about?
Yeah, yeah. So I was just like, I had some little children. I had a couple of little children at that point, and I was sitting outside with my children, and they were busy. I took my notebook with me, and I started writing down a story that I had an idea about, and I didn't even type it up. I hand wrote it. I put it in an envelope and mailed it to America, and I got back a response like weeks later that my book was accepted. And that's how it began. I realized I could share these deep insights in like the most simple way, and that's through children's books. So I just began writing children's books, and I take I love to take complex topics, deep topics, and make them as simple as possible and present them in a joyful way so they could be easily absorbed by children. And that's another thing I want to say. I learned that there was research that it takes like 200 to 400, like 400 repetitions to form new synapses in the brain to create a new habit. But if you do it joyfully, 10 to 20 repetitions and you've got a new habit down. So that's the way, and it's the way to reach children too. When they read my books, the message goes into them. And the secret to children's books is that you're also reaching the older people that are reading the books to the children as well. It's affecting them too. And they're also getting the message um, about how to live a more joyful life. And even like I have books like Let's Stay Healthy. This came out during the pandemic when parents were asking for books that explain why is it important to eat healthfully and exercise and get enough sleep. So my background was in health, as I explained, and even as an undergraduate at Harvard, I was taking courses at Harvard Medical School and the Harvard School of Public Health. So I love public health, and I love explaining to people in the most simple way and joyful way how how to live a life with a healthy body and a healthy soul. Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, well, you only have one body. You have to take care of it.
Yes, yes, and it's a house for our soul. That's how I see it. Our body, so we want to keep it healthy. You know, the more that we can't guarantee anything could happen to us, but at least we could do the best we can to keep it healthy. So everything that happens to us is for the best. That's a huge change in my way of thinking. But accepting that, you know, we can do, we have so much in our power. This is also from ancient teachings that like at least 95% of our health is dependent on our lifestyle. What we do determines so much of how healthy we are.
Absolutely. Everything that goes inside our body, our thoughts, our external
Yes,
environment, our factors, who we invite into our world, and everything just makes a huge impact.
yes.
Um, but so let's fast forward into what your business looks like today. And how has purpose aligned with prosperity for you?
Ah, so okay, I don't really have a business. It's my children's business. But I just write the books. And
Well,
I
that's a business, right?
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
You're an author.
yeah, right. I'm retired. I worked for many years as I coordinated a Big Brother Big Sister program here, and I love doing it. I'm not a person that's particularly motivated by money. I'm motivated by helping people. That's my joy. Um, so, and now, I mean, I'm helping my children. It's their business, and that gives me joy to be able to help them, as well as helping everyone that reads the books. So that's what I love to do. Yeah, and I never get tired of doing it. I can spend hours a day just letting the world know about my books, because I know it's helped definitely at least 1 million people already. So I just want to keep spreading that and help as many people as possible to live joyfully. Yeah.
So, if other people wanted to publish their books, who would they go to?
How to publish books? Well, now anybody could publish a book, for free. You could just publish your book, but that's not the thing. Once the book is published, that's step one. Most people don't realize that because people think I'm going to publish my book and everyone's going to read it. No, no one knows about it. You have to let everybody know about your books. And 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 there are infinite number of ways to do that. And you can easily get burnt out trying to let people know about your books. So here's what you do. You pick the ways that you enjoy doing it. And I pick what I enjoy doing to let people know about my book, so I never get tired of it. I could do it all day long, almost every day. I love doing it. I love giving presentations. I go around to schools, to organizations. Um, I speak in all kinds of places, and I also love doing podcasts like this. It's such a joy. But the podcast, it's easy. I stay home. I don't have to travel, and I love doing it. And I write articles, or you do what you love to do. Some people love to like go out and have a stand where there are a lot of other people also selling things. That is so not me. But other people that enjoy doing that. I'm not an extrovert, so I that would not be my style. But there are so many ways to choose from. So you pick what's you and you begin doing that. And you if you publish a book, you could do that for the rest of your life. If you believe in your book and the messages that you want to get out in the world, you can have an awesome time doing that, and it never ever feels like work. It's a total joy.
I love that. Well, I actually meant that question as a plug-in for your kids and their
Okay.
publishing company, but I love that you went
Yeah.
and explained more about it.
Yeah, my children's company is growingimpactpublications.com, and um yeah, they are really enjoying it as well. My son is a first grade teacher. My daughter-in-law was a preschool teacher, and my son is still a first grade teacher, but my daughter-in-law stopped teaching in order to work on this family business. So that's what she is doing besides raising her bunch of children. Yeah.
So, our podcast is called In the Black, and that came from a financial term. So, when you're in the red, you're negative. When you're in the black, you're positive. So, what does being in the black mean to you today, emotionally, spiritually, and financially?
Yes. Wayne Dyer said success is an inside job. That's the most important thing. Um, any moment that you spend feeling grateful is a moment that you're not being miserable. You can't have those two emotions at the same time. It's so every moment that you do that, you are you're filling yourself up with the satisfaction and fulfillment that a person needs. At Harvard, I met many wealthy people, powerful people, famous people, but they weren't happy. And that's when my search intensified, because I thought there I was going to find at the top of the mountain the secret to happiness. But no, it's not the secret to happiness. And I, that illusion went away when I got there, and I got to see people, really famous people, in person, and see that they're not happy. But there is, and then when I finally did find the secret to happiness, that's what I'm sharing. So this is a very important statement. What's the difference between a happy life and a miserable life? It's simply how grateful you are. You don't have to be super wealthy, you don't have to be famous, you don't have to be have super prestige in the world. You have to living a life of gratitude is a way to find lasting pleasure in life.
Absolutely. I love that. Where can our listeners find your books, follow your work, or reach out for inspiration?
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's called growingimpactpublications.com or www.growingimpactpublications.com. So yeah, we're always hoping to make more of an impact, just spreading joy. And I hope you'll find the site interesting, and my children will love it if you visit. Thank you.
And do we find your books on Audible, on in the library?
Yeah,
Where do we? Okay,
that's another thing.
Amazon.
Yeah, they're also on Amazon also as well. And if people don't have money to buy books, just remember you can always ask your public library to order the books. That's another way to spread these messages far and wide. So if your public library doesn't have them, you could go on the website, check it out, and ask your public library to order the books as well. Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else you would like to share with our audience that I didn't get to ask or think of?
Yeah. Okay. We have about 60,000 thoughts a day, and about 80% of them are negative. That's what they found. 80% of our thoughts are negative, and the funniest part is that 95% of those negative thoughts are repetitive. We keep having the same negative thoughts every day, all day. Amazing. So when we become aware of that, let's all try to override that. We can. We really can. We can train our brains to scan for positive patterns. And I just hope that everybody listening tries it out and just tries to be tiny bit more grateful than they were, 1% more grateful than they were the day before, and you'll see what happens. Yeah.
I love that. We're just been such a joy to listen to. And I love your journey to Israel and the wisdom that you did receive from that and the growth you received and not kept to yourself, but shared into the world and how much you just pour into your books. So I really hope that listeners love the podcast and I hope they go out and find your books.
Thank you so deeply. It was so wonderful being with you. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. If something you heard today moved you, share it with someone you love. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. You can follow me on Instagram at In the Black Passion Project for more behind the scenes and guest spotlights. And remember, no matter where you've been, you're not behind. You're becoming. Stay in the black.